A couple of years ago, my family and I moved into this old farmhouse. It looked perfect. Quiet neighborhood, lots of space for the kids. And honestly, those first few days, everything felt pretty normal. We were just settling in, unpacking boxes, figuring out where stuff would go. But then, one night, I started hearing something strange. It was faint at first, like whispered conversations behind the walls. At first, I thought maybe it was just the house settling or some pipes or something. Nothing to worry about, right? Except the whispers didn't go away. They got louder, more urgent. I'd be sitting in the living room watching TV, and suddenly I'd catch these little bits of voices, snippets of people talking. But it wasn't just any talk. It sounded panicked, like someone pleading or warning someone else. I remember one night, my little brother woke up in the middle of the night, shaking. He said the walls were talking to him and telling him things no one in our family knew. I honestly thought he was just scared from moving and all that, but he seemed serious, like really unsettled. So one night, I decided to find out where it was coming from. I followed the whispers all the way to a section of the wall just under the staircase. The wood felt hollow there, and after peeling back some wallpaper, I found this little hidden space. Inside, there were old letters, yellowed, brittle, covered in handwriting that looked decades old. I started reading them, and they told a story about a family who lived there long ago. A mother who lost her daughter, people who disappeared, secrets that never left the house. It was creepy as hell. Like the house held on to their pain, and it was bleeding through those walls as whispers. Some nights, everything feels normal. We eat dinner, do normal family stuff, but then the whispers start again. Sometimes I think the house is trying to tell us something, or maybe it just hates strangers. I don't know what to make of it, but I will never see a farmhouse the same again. My name is Aaron. I'm from a pretty quiet suburb in Oregon. Nothing really ever happens around here. Most nights the neighborhood's so still, you feel like you're the only one awake for miles. This night started off no different. My parents were away for the weekend, visiting my uncle out of state, and my younger brother was at a friend's house, so I had the place to myself. Honestly, I kinda liked it that way. I was planning on eating junk food, playing video games, and finally finishing the horror movie I'd had to pause a dozen times when my mom was around. I set myself up in the living room, all the lights out except the flickering TV and the glow from my phone screen. I've seen enough scary movies to know sitting with your back to a dark house is a bad idea, but comfort always wins out, and I just nestled deeper under the blanket. Every now and then, I'd pause whatever I was watching and listen. It's not that I'm paranoid, just I like to know what's going on around me. It must have been close to midnight when I started feeling off. Not scared exactly, but like someone had walked over my grave, that weird, prickly feeling on the back of your neck. I muted the TV and just listened. At first there was nothing, just the hum of the fridge and the occasional car driving by outside. Then I heard a scraping sound at one of the windows. A kind of deliberate, slow scrape, like someone was dragging a fingertip across the glass. I sat up. I live in a split-level house, and the window in the dining room is big, almost floor to ceiling. My first rational thought was a branch. Maybe it was windy, maybe something was tapping outside. But when I got up to look, I realized it was dead, calm, nary a breeze, and no branches anywhere near the glass. That's when I saw him. There, just on the other side of the window, half hidden in the darkness, was the outline of a person. I froze. I mean, really froze. All I could make out at first was that he was tall and thin, really thin. I couldn't see his face. Not really, just the suggestion of pale skin and hollow eyes. He was just standing there, looking in. My heart hammered. I moved away, quietly as I could, into the hallway out of sight. I wanted to think it was just my imagination, maybe a trick of the streetlight. But then I heard 3 slow, deliberate knocks on the glass. Not frantic, not angry like he wanted me to know he was there, and that he wasn't afraid of being seen. I could hear my own breathing, and even though everything in me screamed to call the police right away, I was rooted there, trying to come up with a plan. I checked all the doors to make sure they were locked, grabbed my phone, and whispered a message to my group chat asking if anyone was near my house, just in case this was some kind of prank. No one answered. I crept back to the living room. The figure was gone from the window, but now I felt sure I was being watched. I shut off the TV, plunged the whole place into silence, and listened. For a few minutes, nothing. Then, I heard the back gate creak. The one that's always hard to close, nobody would be able to move it quietly. I tiptoed to the kitchen and peeked through the blinds. There he was again, standing near the fence, just barely visible in the shadows. He was closer than before, like he was circling the house, checking for weak spots. I locked myself in my room, turned off all the lights, and crawled as quietly as I could under the bed, clutching my phone. I texted my parents, even though I knew they wouldn't see it until morning. I debated calling the police, but kept thinking, what if he leaves before they get here? What do I even say? There's a guy outside? And what if they come and don't find anything? Would he come back, angry? I must have laid there for an hour, holding my breath every time a floorboard creaked or the fridge kicked on. I'm not sure how, but eventually I dozed off, adrenaline shocked and exhausted. When I woke up, it was dawn. Light was coming in around the edges of the blinds. I checked the house, and everything was locked, just as I'd left it. I tried to convince myself it was a dream, maybe a sleep paralysis episode or too much caffeine before bed. But when I went outside with the dog, I saw them smudged handprints on the window, right at face height, and fresh mud tracked toward the back fence. I never saw the figure again, but for weeks I kept the curtains drawn long before sunset, and every little sound in the night felt like it might be him, still lurking just out of sight, watching, ready to knock again. My name's Ethan, and this happened to me about 6 years ago, when I was 15. I was at my friend Mike's house for a weekend sleepover. We'd spent the evening playing video games, cracking jokes, and watching some dumb comedies to kill time. Mike's place was out in the suburbs, pretty quiet neighborhood, lots of trees and streetlights every few feet. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. We finally called it a night around midnight. Mike's room was upstairs, and I was crashing on the couch downstairs. It was one of those old couches that fold out into a sleeper, so I didn't get my own bed, but it was fine. I stretched out, pulled the blanket up, and turned the TV to some late-night show. The house fell quiet, except for the distant hum of the fridge and the soft crackling of the speakers. Around 1 o'clock, I started getting that weird feeling, the one where it feels like someone's watching you. At first, I told myself it was nothing, just my imagination. But then I heard footsteps, slow, deliberate footsteps, coming from the back of the house. I froze. The stairs to the basement were right next to the couch, and I figured that's where the noise was coming from. Mike's parents weren't home, and he told me that sometimes the basement door doesn't lock properly. I tried to think calmly, but my heart was pounding. The footsteps stopped just below the stairs, and I thought I heard a faint breathing, almost like someone was waiting, just out of sight. I swallowed hard and decided to grab Mike's baseball bat that was leaning by the front door. I crept toward the stairs, flashlight on my phone barely lighting up the dark basement hallway. As I took the first step down, a shadow flickered across the wall, something or someone moving. I turned the light toward the shape, but it was gone. I called out, "Hey, who's there?" No answer. I slowly made my way down, scanning every corner. Suddenly, a cold breeze brushed past me, and I felt something brush my arm. My heart nearly stopped. I spun around but saw nothing. Panicking now, I dashed back up the stairs, slammed the basement door, and locked it tight. I rushed back to the couch, grabbed my phone, and texted Mike, "Dude, there's something here." No reply. I called my mom, voice trembling, and told her what was happening. She asked if I was sure it wasn't just Mike messing with me. I swear to you, it wasn't. Minutes later, I heard soft footsteps upstairs approaching Mike's room. I couldn't move or yell. The door creaked open slowly, then slammed shut. My phone died suddenly. I sat there, frozen for what felt like hours, until finally Mike stormed downstairs. "What's wrong with you?" he asked, half laughing. I told him everything, and his face went pale. He admitted he'd heard noises too, but thought I'd freaked out. We called his parents as they rushed home. The police came by to check the house, but found no one. Nothing was stolen or damaged, just an empty basement and a whole lot of unanswered questions. Even now, I still get chills thinking about that night. I don't go over to Mike's house alone anymore, and the basement door always reminds me of this experience.